Bon appetit!
Itadakimasu.
You know what the funniest thing about North Korea is?
Nani ya?
It's the little differences. I mean, they've got the same stuff we've got here, but it's just there, it's a little different.
Tatoeba?
Alright, you can walk into this one restaurant in Pyongyang and buy a hamburger. And you know what they call it?
Karera wa sore hanbagai yuna?
Nah, man, they hate America. They wouldn't know what the heck a hamburger is.
Kore wa nan to ie?
They call it minced meat and bread.
Hikiniku to pan.
That's right.
Chicken sandwich wa nan to ie?
I don't know, man. I didn't go into North Korea. Hi, welcome to the SDP. I'm Kevin, the happy hipster.
Boku wa Ichigo, anime no Kyoto hosto da.
So yeah, North Korea. This has always been a fascinating subject for me, despite how sad the whole thing is. The government has allowed large chunks of its population to starve, established the most extensive and longest-lasting propaganda operation in modern history, imprisons those who try to break that image and lock them up in nigh unlivable prison camps, lavishes all its attention on military, who will be willing to launch an all-out assault on South Korea and the West at the slightest provocation, and if you were ever to ask any of the authorities, they would deny it to their last breath. So yeah, you'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy, at least not in this universe. From time to time, I have entertained the thought of taking a little tour in North Korea, but it would inevitably end with me attempting to assassinate the leader du jour, start a revolution, and or getting disappeared, so forget about it. That's why I've done the next best thing, experience it in a video game.
Our fictional North Korean head of state and the game's villain is General Song. Man, Prince Zuko's moving on up in the world. Who seized power from his father and started building up the military. When the Australian Navy caught him shipping nuclear weapons to terrorists, the United Nations, Allied Nations, put up $100 million bounty for his capture.
In other news, I think that might work in the real world. Anyone got $100 million, 3 mercenaries, and a stash of bunker buster bombs lying around?
So, who's gonna take them up on it? One of 3 playable mercenaries, Chris Jacobs, Jennifer Mui, and Matthias Nilsson. Mate ya, Song Taisho wa dono yo ni shite tomareira ka? By taking contracts from multiple factions, the not United Nations, South Korea, China, and the Russian Mafia. A good number of missions will pit you against other friendly factions, and by killing their soldiers, you'll ruin your relationship with them, up to the point that they'll refuse to work with you and their soldiers will open fire on you. In order to fix your standing with them, you'll have to pay a bribe or kill soldiers from a rival faction, for example, South Korea versus China, in front of troops from the faction you're trying to patch things up with. But it pays to play the sides against each other. Your rewards for completing story missions are cash, ordnance, and supplies, and the locations of North Korean officials, which are arranged into a deck of 52 cards like what was used during the Iraq War. For example, the final boss, General Song, is ranked as the Ace of Spades. Capturing or killing these high-value targets fills up an intel meter in your PDA's menus. The number cards, 2 through 10 of each suit, are scattered around the map, and clearing missions for each faction will give you hints on their locations. On the other hand, the face cards, the jacks, queens, and kings, have missions dedicated to capturing them, and they'll fill up a bigger chunk of the intel meter. You can unlock the ace missions without having captured or killed all of the HVTs in a particular suit, but while I do admire this flexibility, completing an ace mission will permanently lock you out of finding any remaining HVTs of that suit, so if your goal is 100% completion, then beware. Also, while you can kill HVTs instead of bringing them in alive, you get half the reward money for doing so, further developing the element of risk versus reward.
You might also want to save before and after attempting to capture a HVT alive, lest an errant explosion kill him or her against your wishes. Save's coming! It's how the pros do it! And now for the feature which sets Mercenaries apart from the Grand Theft Auto 3 trilogy which inspired it.
In this game, you're able to order airstrikes, vehicles, and supplies anywhere from your PDA. However, instead of getting your supplies from each of the factions, all business is conducted through the Russian Mafia, and if you're standing with them as sour, they'll lock you out of their services until you bribe them or whatnot. And health supplies are essential, even though you have regenerating life. To an extent. Health will only regenerate up to a small fraction, say 20%, if you're under that threshold. However, every time your health dips below that mark, the screen goes red and time slows down for a few seconds, which gets annoying when you're taking repeated damage. But apart from that, I'd say it's the best of both worlds. I was pleased that they included not only a life bar for your character's health, but also the life of your current vehicle, something which oddly has been missing from the Grand Theft Auto games. Then again, the vehicle physics are on the lightweight side, with most collisions tossing your car around like a tornado-induced tailspin, so forget about it. Oh, and speaking of Grand Theft Auto, you get fined for killing civilians, so don't get any ideas, it's not worth it. The world of Mercenaries consists of 2 large maps, one for each half of the game's story. When you take that into account, it becomes understandable that the loading times are on the unfriendly side, and a heaping helping of fog limits the real estate that is drawn on screen. Nonetheless, frame rates are generally stable, and there's quite a bit of bloom lighting to be had, but the washed out color palette may not be to everyone's taste. Of course, I imagine the real North Korea is similar in that regard. Zynga! There's not a lot of music to be had either, but when it does play, it's grand orchestral fare which would fit well in a movie.
Then again, you could watch the remake of Red Dawn to get the same effect. But you miss the personality of the voice actors who leave no doubt that they love blowing stuff up, including Phil LaMarr from Samurai Jack.
Seems nicer than the one we had in Libya.
Peter Stormare from Armageddon.
That'll do until I get my hands on a tomahawk.
Jennifer Hale from pretty much everything.
Bell tends to overheat. Other than that, a fine weapon.
And
all right, Fiona, what have you got for us?
Thanks. Okay, well, today the board is voting on the Sung Initiative.
holy crow, is that Amy Lee? The lead singer from Evanescence? With an Australian accent? Sweet!
It's true that Mercenaries is nowhere near a perfect game. One of the game's weakest points is the artificial intelligence. Take, for example, the helicopters you call in to extract high-value targets. It takes effort to find a suitable landing spot, since even the slightest bit of uneven terrain and the chopper will reject your call. Even if you do manage to bring it in, there's a possibility that it could touch down on a stray rock or car and get tossed around. And it appears the computer-controlled North Korean soldiers have no qualms about letting their unit leaders get blown up by stray explosions, which is why I stress the importance of saving. So, whilst Mercenaries is rather unpolished, it takes the wide-open sandbox genre in directions few have bothered to go down, and is certainly worth a try for such reasons. Mercenaries' Playground of Destruction scores 75%, a B-.
There it goes. Very good work.
This is Kevin with Ichigo, and you are the Resistance. I don't always ask for subscribers, but when I do... North Koreans, if you're watching this, your government is lying to you. They willfully imprison people, including cruel and unusual torture, for promoting the very human rights denied to them, and their space program is nothing for a front for testing nuclear weapons for use against the United States and... Sorry, I seem to have had an out-of-script moment there. I guess what I'm trying to say is... Stay thirsty, my friends.